All right. First of all, I just want to apologize about this choppy video. I wrote a script and I'm trying to read it and I'm at work. I can't do this at home because my kids are all over the place. But I think all the information is correct and it's there. And it explains why I invested in these three companies below. Pretty much established a portfolio with the $3 million between these three companies: Four.com, Gray Investment Company, and Title Six Recovery. So this was a really cool project. It pretty much opened my eyes a little bit to if I had $3 million and how I'd establish a portfolio and how I'd diversify best, you know. But let me get started. So, to calculate the 7-year internal rate of return, what I did was I simply used the IRR function within Excel. To use the function on the project data file, what you do is you input the initial investment followed by the net cash flow for the 7 years. And for example, for the internal rate of return for Telestech Inc., the formula to calculate the internal rate of return is, and I wrote it down here, is right there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a J and a 3. With column C being the initial investment and continuing until column J, which contains the final net cash flow. All right. After calculating the internal rate of return for each company, what I did was, what I saw was that the companies with the highest internal rate of return for each level of risk of bankruptcy were the ones I invested in. Title Six Recovery, which was high, Four.com, which was medium, and Gray Investment Company, which was low. I felt that these were, it was a no-brainer to invest in these companies by using that formula, and just it made sense with the $3 million to break it up between these three. And then, next what I did was I created a table containing only these three companies, as you can see, with the highest internal rate of return. So considering the internal rate of return and the risk of bankruptcy of each company, it made sense to invest more heavily into the company with the higher internal rate of return and lower risk of bankruptcy. And this is why I invested $1.5 million into Gray Investment Company, right here in the middle. $1 million into Four.com, right above it, and $500,000 into Title Six Recovery, which is the third one. So using this initial investment and the internal rate of return as the interest rate, I calculated the net cash flows for each year. And you can see it over here, last column. Combining the sum of the net cash flow over the 4 years provided me with a figure to compare to the initial investments to ensure that the initial investment will be paid back within 4 years. So you can see right there. So the initial investment is going to be paid back within 4 years, which is great. These companies just absolutely made sense for me to invest in out of all the other ones. And like I said, it just really made sense that the bottom line is it really made sense to invest more heavily into the company with the highest internal rate of return and lowest risk of bankruptcy, which was Gray Investment. That's why I put most of my money into Gray Investment Company. And then it trickled down to Four.com and Title Six Recovery. So that is my project. And again, I apologize, Professor, for the choppiness of this video. But Yeah.